example, while still allowing us to discover issues that we can address for all 49 flyable ships and beyond. It's been the perfect test monkey. No offense, M50 pilots. And you've probably learned from your own experiences that one tends to be a bit more meticulous the first time you attempt something. We do the same thing at Star Citizen by properly documenting all necessary steps, thereby creating guides to speed up future processes. And in our first round through, we also look to identify opportunities to create tools, further speeding up our overall implementation time. Allow game code to query for a modified data for entries that aren't even spawned, such as selling cargo for a ship that's landed at a station and hidden away from ATC. These features will also allow game code to correctly respawn and orient ships or items that have been abandoned on planets or in space, meaning you can expect the world and your possessions to remain in the same steady progress on the RSI Aurora since our last update. The art team has now completed the seat geo for the ES and LN variants and begun work on the engines, while tech design is implementing these new assets, utilizing the Item System 2.0 framework directly into the ship archetype. Making this art has created a new data structure that will allow players to customize their eye color. This supports the first pass of the character creator, where players will be able to select from a preset color palette. The body skin tone will now automatically adjust to the skin tone of the face. In the case of NPCs, this will maintain consistency for our characters, and in the case of players, this will ensure your body always matches your face. Also, they've created a process armory with a fully rigged female medium marine as well as a male heavy outlaw suit that we've shown in previous updates, going from now concept all the way into final implementation. We're also far along on many new uniforms, costumes.
My name's Emmer Schweitzer. I'm a lighting artist here at Cloud Imperium Games.
You can have substandard assets and light it well. We don't make substandard assets, so we're pretty lucky with really good quality to start with. But it is the basis of, it's not just the cake, it's the cake and the cherry on top.
Lighting is the character of the scene. It creates this feeling of like either gloominess or happiness. You can use lighting and...
A long time ago. And the game and the engine was very focused to delivering a certain type of scenario. So it was out of the box really good at creating outdoor environments. It had a sun time of day system.
All the way down to like a small decorative light on a table or something like that. We try and keep the power of those lights in relative terms. So obviously the sun needs to feel hundreds or thousands of times more powerful than a little desk lamp. And that creates interesting questions for like how the camera ought to approach
many different things in several different ways. So, for example, last year, I think sometime, you saw the anamorphic screen space flares come in. Again, that's tied to the lighting system. We've got on Horizon real-time cube map generation. The whole sun system that we had has gone. There is one sun in the galaxy, which will light all of the planets. So there's the guys in front. So we wanted a system where we could transition from on in a very creative manner to different states. So whether that's evacuation or auxiliary or even to off.
We now have a light grouping system so that each room has its own power state. So you can go in, you can enable or disable power to a specific room. That room can take damage, and now maybe that has to be put into an emergency state.
That controller is creating these transitions for me as the artist to control. So when ship A takes damage at location B, like everything within that radius of location starts to use this system, and when you actually see it working, it's really quite powerful. And it goes to show how powerful lighting is, because you can completely change a really ambient, soft feeling environment into something that feels very, very aggressive extremely quickly.
I mean, the challenge is finding that right balance. I mean, if things are out of whack, then it can feel like when you leave a small interior and the interior is too brightly lit, then all of a sudden the sun feels really underwhelming by comparison, or vice versa. If it's really bright outside and you walk into a really dimly lit interior, then it's just pitch black and it just doesn't...
Once we've got the tech in and we're satisfied that none of the parameters are going to shift around, and suddenly the density value won't mean twice as much as it did yesterday, or whatever like that. At that point, the environment teams and the ship teams have to go through absolutely everything that's got fog volumes on it and just make sure that they all look good, or delete them if they don't, or replace them, or whatever. Check that the lights shining onto it don't show anything that was slightly dodgy about how the lights were set up, all that kind of thing.
It basically replaces the old fog technology.
But having that in the engine is incredibly cool. You can create a sense of depth just with fog alone, and as soon as you introduce lights dynamically reacting to that fog, which is what an artist would spend a long time trying to recreate, it's an incredibly powerful tool to have to be able to guide players like we kind of touched on before, and to create a sense of depth away from the camera.
How much it improves the atmosphere of an area. It just makes the air feel thicker, and you can really feel like you're in this space. Like every single day I basically grab a new build, and there's always some kind of new thing that's just like a new value that I can tweak that just makes things.
I bet the crew had a lot of fun covering Nate.